So thanks for being here. Thanks for coming to the expo. We wanted to put some seminars together. I prefer the term seminars over forums because it's a little more direct. And we're hoping that this will be something to drive it along a little bit. My name's Billy Freeman, WL4B. I'm a comm unit leader, comm technician, EMT. I'm retired from the Memphis Fire Department after 28 years. And I did 25 years on the FEMA Urban Search and Rescue teams, mostly as a communications comm unit leader and a comm T, with 31 national deployments, disaster deployments. So I sort of teach this from my perspective, and but this is a new presentation for me. 1994 ice storm. So I was working that night on the fire department, working in Midtown. Got home 2 weeks without power. So I started on this path, we've talked about it for decades, of getting figuring that out, figuring the generator thing out. I came from the Army with, generators as big as this room kind of thing. And so I've evolved this kind of a hobby. So I thought I'd put something together, and then along comes our winter storm, a few months ago that impacted a lot of people. And by the way, first time I've ever seen generators sell out before the storm. I've never seen that before, and I thought that was very interesting. So let me get my disclaimer out of the way. The information provided in this presentation is for general information purposes only. I am not responsible for any actions taken based on the content of this presentation. It's on film. Electricity is dangerous. If you do not know what you're doing, always seek the advice of a qualified professional. Thank you. So we're going to talk about, the bulk of what we're going to talk about is generators, but we're going to talk about portable power stations, inverters, and batteries. This is our conversation. Speak up, hey, what, because I'm no expert. I'm just enough to know that I don't know enough. And so please be part of the conversation. So, little safety issue. Never run a generator in an enclosed area. I know that sounds incredibly simple, but spending 28 years on the fire department, I have seen that too many times. And quite a few times it was tragic. 20 feet from your home, point the exhaust away from your home. Don't refuel the generator while it's running. I know everybody doesn't want to shut anything off, and we're going to talk about fuels. That's another thing. By the way, I pace, so you just got to put up with me. Water and electricity are a deadly combination. We're going to explain that a little bit. We know what that is, but why that makes sense with generators. Keep a working fire extinguisher close by. You should do that anyway. And secure your generators, because I know nobody's going to steal your generator, but you just never know. What?
In Florida, they'll do that all the time.
Oh, they'll do it here too, trust me, anywhere. Okay, who's used the generator to power the house? Oh, great. So once again, I want y'all to be part of the conversation. We'll feed off, because I always try to learn from other people. And it's just, I just enjoy that, because I can change path in something because somebody says, no, really and truly. We're going to talk about sizing, different types, and fuel. Okay.
Hey, Billy, one thing for your first responders, safety, be sure you isolate your generator.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes, and I'll talk about that. So this is my goal that I'm building. Wait, what? But likely this is what I'll end up with. Okay, I think that's kind of cool. I put my wife on it. Okay, what are the two common types of portable? We're going to be talking about portable generators. What are the two common types?
You're talking about inverter versus old style?
Yeah, inverter versus non-inverter. We're going to talk about what that is here shortly. The inverter craze has overtaken the non-inverter generators, which is a good thing, and we'll talk about it in a minute. And I want to know, so of the hands raised, how many were inverter generators? Okay, cool. Very good. What's the difference? What is it? Go ahead.
The inverter generators throw out a pure sine wave, and they throttle to the usage.
That's a good point that a lot of people don't know. So a regular generator, non-inverter, is going to run at 3,600 RPMs nonstop. No matter if you're running 100 watts or 10,000 watts, it's going to run at 3,600 RPMs. And so there's it's a field, and they're built to do that. A non-inverter generator, which takes AC power from the generator, turns it into DC power in an inverter, and punches it back out with AC power, its throttle does this. So it only ramps up because it doesn't have to maintain that 3,600 RPMs. It only ramps up when it needs to. So it's a more fuel efficient. Make sense? We're going to talk about it. So has anybody ever seen this term related to generators? This is also actually a term in audio world. Total harmonic distortion. What kind of sine wave is this one? Pure. This is what the grid looks like. That looks fairly good, but these spikes and dips, that's actually what a non-inverter generator they'll call a dirty generator, a dirty power generator. That actually looks good. Some of the newer non-inverter generators do a little better. I can show, I've got a handheld oscilloscope that I test my equipment with, and it looks like the snow on a TV screen. It's just splatter. So, but those can cause problems with electronics. Those spikes can.
I will say you need to be careful because there are some inverters out there now that have modified sine.
So we're going to touch that. But yes, thank you. We're going to touch on that. So how's the size of the common term, how's the size of a generator? Watts. So if you're deciding, and once again, this is not getting deep into it. This is kind of giving you information if you're determining what generator you want to buy or what you want to upgrade to or those kind of things, making sure. Like I said, this presentation is a build in progress. So the first thing you do is determine what you need to power. Now, we're talking about portable generators, and there are some portable generators. He just bought one that are large enough to power a lot of things in the home, and you can get the whole house generators that are 15, 20, 25,000 watt generators to power everything. And they're nice, but they're very proud of them, but you don't have to do anything. I'm a doer kind of guy. So you need to determine what you need to power. You don't need it, in my mind, I don't need to power everything. I've got 2 refrigerators and a freezer. And you say, okay, what about those? Okay, so those, if you're not in and out, my grandkids are not over there. Stuff will stay good for 24 hours or better. And so the point being is, you don't necessarily need to have that refrigerator on the generator all the time. They call it shedding power, but you can figure out I always use the analogy, remember Green Acres? Remember Lisa having to pull the plugs out to run the stuff? That's the same kind of thing. How do you determine what the power, how do you determine what power you need? How do you determine what a device consumes? How many watts that refrigerator runs?
Kilowatt.
Okay, that's my favorite thing. I got two of them. So he uses a device called a kilowatt.
You can get the specs out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, it really, and then you could hook up the kilowatt, and I guess a perfect example is your television,
Yeah.
and it depends on what you're watching. The picture.
Okay, now that's a good one. I got to play with that.
Standard definition, high definition.
Oh, nice. See, I never thought about that.
You could go anywhere from like 150 up to 500, 600 watts in a second. And it could
Oh, I'm gonna be experimenting with that with my wife. I never thought about that. That's a great point. I learned something today. Thank you for that. He talked about 100 watts, 500 watts. I run my house, I have a 6,000 watt inverter that runs on a battery system but at the most, and that's another thing is you got to look at what the starting power of the starting requirement of something is. A refrigerator, for instance, will hit a spike and come back down. And so about 2,000 watts is all I'd need in my house. Now, I'm not running an air conditioner, but I am running the heater, gas heat, and other things. So you have to know what you want to power and how much power everything. I've got a book, an Excel spreadsheet. I know every single thing in my house. I know every single light bulb. I know everything in my house, how much it takes, because the kilowatt, I can run it. I can run the refrigerator into it and run it for 24 hours and pull it out, and it'll tell me exactly what it did for 24 hours. Where else can you find how much you use every month and every year? On your electric bill. And sometimes I don't know how accurate that is, but okay. What types of fuels power generators?
Gasoline, diesel.
So diesel, yes. I've never seen a kerosene one. Maybe. Maybe. Well, because most people don't know, jet fuel is actually high-grade kerosene. I was an aircraft mechanic. So we're going to talk about gasoline, propane, and natural gas. Pros and cons of each. Start with gasoline. Goes bad. It's difficult to store. How can you help to alleviate? Stable.
Yeah, non-ethanol.
Non-ethanol. Yeah, it's about $1 a gallon more, but it sure does hold better.
The cans of True Fuel that are very expensive.
Yes, we carry them on. We carry them on the task force.
Because I took a tour of Germantown Fire Department.
Yeah.
Number 4, and they had generators all over the True Fuel, and I said, why? I said it's for the sick people when they have an expensive
That's right.
power outage.
That's right.
True Fuel is good for
That's
5
right.
years unopened, 3 years open.
I was on a ladder company, a truck company in Memphis, and every truck company, there's currently 22 of them. Every one of them has a generator on that we can offload, lock up, and power CPAP machines, heart monitor, different. We used to have a guy down in Midtown that was on an iron lung, had a special pigtail for it to power him up. Had to power him up once. Good guy, great guy. So what are some of the pros for gasoline?
Has the highest energy
Perfect.
per whatever.
BTU.
BTU.
Yeah.
Common to get, too.
Very common to get.
Well,
Interestingly, I study disasters. I've studied plenty of them that I was on, but I also study disasters to see what's going on. I got friends. I call a buddy down in Oxford for the ice storm. He had to drive 90 miles to get gasoline and to get propane. because there wasn't any, because what happens when the power goes out? Can't pump. So, yeah.
Stores almighty computers.
Yeah, that's right. But most people understand how to get gasoline and how to use it. And some of the cons are, filling it and, can be dangerous, but it's fairly simple. But you're talking about the efficiency of it. Yes, it is the top for generators, but it's also can be the most expensive to use. A 5,000 watt generator running a couple of 3,000 watts into a house, it's going to go through, non-inverter generator, it's going to go through about 10 gallons a day. Now we'll talk about that price here in a minute. So how about propane?
Good for life.
Forever, whatever that means. I had a girl tell me one time she'd love me forever. That was only 4 months, so I don't know.
In a disaster, hard to get.
Can be hard to get.
In this last ice storm, you couldn't get propane within 6
That's right. It's exactly right. And it was worse in Oxford because they were all coming up here to get it. And so the best way to have the propane, if you're going to use the 20 pounders, we'll talk about that, which is about four gallons of propane, is to have those that you can refill instead of swap. But still, you still have that problem with doing that. So how about the cons of propane?
The containers can levy.
Huh?
The containers can levy.
He knows a good term. Levy is when a propane tank goes nuclear and it doesn't cool off and the vent valve can't expel it quick enough and it just blows. But yes, one of the cons of them is a 20-pound propane tank won't run a 5,000 K generator very long. And especially depending on the temperature. And temperature has a big deal to do with the different fuels. And so so you have that problem. A lot of people buy the 100-pounders. They're taller. The tank's about $250 and another $70 or so to get it filled. But it's all about the liquid in the tank vaporizing.
Also, when you use propane on a gas engine, they have a little bit less power.
Yes, thank you. And you said that. They do. They are the next step down of the power. And so if you're anywhere where you can see, there's a lot of generators coming out. He just bought one that are tri-fuel. Gasoline, propane, natural gas. And it will show you, and I'll talk about the watts here in a minute, it will show you which one, how much is what. How about natural gas? Pros?
It's not available everywhere because if you're out in the country.
That's
you
right.
don't have it.
That's right. That's actually a great point that I didn't have down here as a note to make, and I will now. Thank you for that, because it's available to me, and I wasn't thinking about. But most people, if you don't have natural gas, you got a big old propane tank, so that helps. The 500 gallon or even 1,000 gallon.
A lot of the houses out in the country are not being using propane. They're going all electric.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so you're really.
Yeah. So natural gas. I use all my generators run natural gas. It is so convenient. And my portable generators run natural gas. It is so convenient to just plug. I had the house piped and out there for them, and just plug it up and let her rip. What about some maintenance on a portable generator? What does that look like during operational periods? So depending on the make, go ahead.
I'm going to say oil change.
That's right. That's the biggest one. And depending on the make of it, you look in your manual. I go with a rule of thumb of 100 hours. You change the oil. We're talking about 4 days. I was a 2-week stint. That's 6 oil changes. And so yeah. And you got to have it on hand. You know, I keep a couple of 5-gallon on hand because it doesn't go bad. But you got to look at that, and that's whether you're running gas, and gas, combustion engine, piston rings, splash by it's called, from the gas, can make oil dirtier quicker. So the propane and the natural gas are going to not dirty the oil up, but it's a wear and tear. You're talking about a small engine that's just getting it. The inverter ones, they're not pushing as hard as the non-inverter ones.
And most of your little generators don't run a filter, so that's.
So mine do. Mine do. I have a filter. Mine have. That's a good point, though. Mine have oil filters. When you buy a generator, brand new generator, what's the first thing you got to do?
Put oil in it.
Put oil in it. They don't come with oil in them, and it may not come with oil. So, but we'll go back to what we were talking about. So gasoline is the highest BTU. Propane is down probably 10% of what this one, and I use natural gas is about 15% lower. So if it's a 5,000 watt generator, that's going to be 500 watts. That's going to be 750 watts lower. But plug that natural gas up and just let her hum. I run a battery system in my house, so I can turn my generator off. My generator charges my batteries to run my inverter, so I can turn it off at night. Okay, powering their generator. How do most people connect their equipment to their generator?
Extension cords.
Extension cords. What else?
You can get house switches, but not a lot of people.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I was about to say that, and then have an isolation.
Yeah. So there's a couple of extension cords. I've done this before. That's where the water and the electricity for the rain and stuff, you have to pay attention to. I've done this before, and it works, but you got an extension cord with an octopus inside.
You gotta make sure the extension cord's the right size.
That's right too. We're going to talk about wiring in a little bit, but I recommend a 10 gauge. If you're going to do this with extension cord, I recommend a 10 gauge extension cord, and they're not cheap. Interlock kit is what you were talking about, and essentially put a plug that ties into your breaker box, and there's a switch. You turn your main breakers off, and we were talking about protecting the folks working on the lines, because what you're doing is you're back feeding your house. And so the switch moves over. You can't turn the generator breaker on without turning that one off and sliding that interlock. You can look it up, and it's real easy. I have a transfer switch. I have a 10-position transfer switch. I have a manual transfer switch. There are automatic transfer switches as well. Those whole house generators run on automatic transfer switches. After 30 seconds or so, it senses the grid power, or regular everyday power, is gone, and it waits for a minute to see what happens, and it kicks on. Let me tell you something too. If you lose power, refrigerators are notorious for, I used to do HVAC work, and so there's a compressor in there, and it builds that pressure up. And if it's in the middle of a compression cycle, and if an HVAC person's in here, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you pull the plug on it, that pressure takes time to come down. And if it starts right back up again, then it can hit itself, to hit that pressure that compressor wants to hit. It's a mechanical thing, but just be thinking about that stuff. When the power was off and running the generators I'd always unplug everything. I don't have to unplug it now, I just turn it off with the switch, and let my refrigerators calm down even when the electricity came back on. Because when the electricity comes back on, when the grid comes back on, I have to go back and manually turn my stuff back to the grid. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there, which, by the way, there are some great YouTube videos out there, but when I see something on the internet, and I go back to the internet from when I was in the Army in the 80s, when it was ARPANET. When I see something on the internet, I go back and I go and find, I want to see if how many people are talking about that specific thing, whether or not it's true or not. And there are a lot of things out there about generators that people are getting paid to say. And so you just have to take that with a grain of salt. Not that they're all trying to fool everybody, but yeah. And here I am talking about it. So take me with a grain of salt too.
Can I ask us about the transfer switch before you leave that topic?
Yeah.
I know hams are mostly incredibly talented, smart, do-it-yourself people. Are there situations where Shelby County Code requires a permit to be pulled and a licensed electrician?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or else your insurance company
Absolutely.
can pay your claim?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes. My daughter just had an interlock switch put on her house, and she had a license, and they came out and saw it. The interlock switch is nothing more than applying an external plug to a 50 amp breaker, a 50 amp plug to a 50 amp breaker in the box, popping that breaker in and putting that interlock switch on the breaker. Yes, thank you for that. If you're doing it, if you're getting it done, it needs to be done professionally because you want to make sure you protect yourself and do it right. Thank you for that. So this is my new toy. Anybody got one of these portable power stations? That's my new toy, Christmas present.
We had a guy that had one for field day. And everybody was having problems all over the campsite with noise. And we finally turned his off.
Oh, is that right? I got to check that out. Well, this is the one I have, and that's the only reason I got a picture of it up there starting the slide. One of the top tier companies that do them. But so you have one. What do you use it for? What have you used it for?
It's a Jackery.
Jackery, another top tier company.
And what I originally used a inverter generator. And when I saw those things, I was like, yeah, but they only last so long. I didn't get it. But when I finally got it, it's much better than using a generator. You don't use a generator until you have to.
Yeah.
But
What have you powered with it?
what? Pardon?
What have you powered with it? What have you?
Oh, the fan for my HVAC system
Okay.
for the winter.
Perfect.
Refrigerator. My TV set, because I gotta have the TV. And my internet. And what I found is.
Was all this done with
the internet will
extension
stay up
cords?
About 3 hours until their battery goes down.
Exactly.
But I still have internally, and then I could connect it to my cell phone and have an internet connection.
So you need to know so when I bought mine, Jelly and I, this is Jelly, he's one of my best friends, and we've been downrange on disasters more times than we can remember. We were talking about using these we talked earlier about the fire department taking generators out there. We were talking about using these. Well, the problem is they don't last. You have to be, it's a finite amount of power in that device.
So East Tennessee last year before last at the hurricane, when Tima was over there.
East Tennessee hurricane, that just blows my
mission was
mind.
setting up Starlink. We bought a bunch of those to take Starlinks out and set them up to run the Starlink so people could use Wi-Fi assistant calling. The only purpose of the Starlink was for Wi-Fi assistant calling, but we used a bunch of those out there to run for 3 or 4 days, and you'd have to go out and swap them or.
Yeah,
and some of them came with solar panels, but.
So I bought one for one specific reason. They have a UPS function. I have a 10 millisecond changeover on it, which I have a desktop computer that doesn't even blink. And that's what I used it for. It's under my desk. But it's a bigger, I've chose to go with a bigger one. So they're rated by how many, they have pure sine wave inverter in them. So they're rated by inverters, the size of the inverter, and they're rated by the amp hours of the batteries. Most of them have, mine has 48 volt, 52 volt batteries in them. I went with a size larger than that. I needed about 1,000, 1,200 watts to run my computer, my television in my office, my router, my modem, things, electronic devices. And to keep them running for the UPS function, they're all plugged into it. So I went a step bigger than I needed because it came with twice the size of the battery. It weighs 74 pounds, okay? But I'm not toting it around. But I did it because it had a bigger battery to give me that longer life on it, because I did some testing on it. Go ahead.
You can also buy like a Eve lithium, the battery packs themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
DIY.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to extend that battery capacity. But I like it, it's neat. But we talked about it in a minute. The ads make them look like the perfect solution, and they are a great solution. I tried to run my refrigerator on it, and it ran about 87 minutes or something like that. Yeah, it's only a 2,000 watt hour. I got an older refrigerator too. Knock on wood. I don't have to buy another refrigerator. Some of the newer refrigerators are yeah, okay.
Compressors are built different.
Oh yeah,
Burn out
yeah.
5 years.
And they got more electronics in them too, which is something you need to pay attention to when you're talking about inverters and inverter generators and stuff. The cleaner, not to tear up that electricity, especially HVAC stuff. We've had that conversation several times. So we're going to talk about inverters real quick. So that's a very simple but accurate drawing of how an inverter works. Has anybody used just an inverter before, connected to a battery? How'd you use it?
In a camper.
Okay. Is it, so it's, yeah, you see a lot of them and have a lot. How big is it? 1,000, 2,000 watts maybe?
3,000.
3,000. Running on 12 volts?
Yep.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. Who else? What?
I believe I used it just to power lights on a Jeep Christmas parades.
Oh, yeah. Nice. That's okay. I like that now.
I used mine to run the heater, but it ran off
Yeah.
the jumper cables in the truck.
Yeah. I mean, before the inverter generators were affordable or even available, we were running on inverters. I like the Christmas light ones. So this is a little deeper than, so there's two different types of inverters. And do you know, well, there's two types and two types different. So you have a modified sine wave and a pure sine wave, but you also have a term you've probably never heard is a low frequency inverter and a high frequency inverter. That's a pure sine wave, and a good inverter generator can look even better than the grid. This is a modified sine wave. It gets the sine wave and it keeps it consistent, but electronics doesn't like it. Those were built for power tools and stuff.
What you're describing is, and probably a lot of people in this room have it, is those little battery UPSs.
Absolutely. Great
hook
point.
up to your
Great
computer.
point.
And those are the two different
Absolutely. Great point. So you uninterruptible power supplies that people have on their computers. I talked about a UPS on that one. It passes grid through my Blue Eddy. It passes the grid power through. When the grid power drops off, it switches right over to pure sine wave. Most of those UPSs that are $50 at Costco and $100, they are modified sine wave. They've been that way for a long time, and desktop computers and stuff have done them. To get a pure sine wave inverter to pure sine wave UPS, it functions exactly like an inverter generator does. It changes the AC comes in, charges the batteries change it to DC, DC back to AC and cleans it up. That's the only way you can get that good clean power. So that was a great point. I thank you for that because I'd forgot about that. So those UPSs, a lot of people say, well, I'll just plug a UPS in it. It may be, likely will be a modified sine wave. They're not just completely destructive. They're very consistent. My oscilloscope will look just like that. But they're not this. They're not the flow. So these are 3 different types. This is a low frequency, that is a high frequency, and this is a high frequency hybrid all in one. This is actually my inverter. I said my power supply weighs 74 pounds. It weighs 54 pounds. That weighs 74 pounds, 6,000 watt. But it is a beast. It's a tank. You can't tear them up. These are run on MOSFETs, circuits, and they're great for the average person. This is built if you got a sump pump that's running on 220, 240, that hits hard to do it. You can't, those can't handle it. I just gave across this one because I liked it, but most people get that one and they serve them just fine.
What model or what brand? Or?
That's a Synergy. They're about twice the price of those, and those will serve most people perfectly. These are all 3 pure sine wave, 48 volt. I'll talk about that in a second. 6,000 watts. Okay, wattage, voltage, and wiring configurations. Here's how you figure your wiring. Write that. What? That's actually the thing I came across, and I went, I got to put that in there. So, Ohm's law, the higher the wattage, the higher the wattage and the lower the voltage, the more amps. So a 12 volt, an inverter up to about 2,000 watts can handle a 12 volt. We're talking about 12 volt in your thing. If you go to 2,000 to 4,000, 24 volts, over 4,000, 48 volts. Why? What's the significance of it? What is going up in the voltage do for?
Lowers the current.
Which lessens the size of the wiring. Because you get a 4,000, you can run a 4,000 watt inverter on 12 volts. I don't even know what that size is. It's probably like that, the wiring. The wire's going to be about like that, and that's expensive. They're just more efficient. The 48 volts are more efficient. It takes a little more to do, but that's kind of a rule of thumb right there. Batteries. Who's used a battery other than for a vehicle? I know you have. You got separate batteries in there for them? What'd you use it for?
I got a battery pack for my radio.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people building them. The alternator charger, you charge through the cord, the trailer plug?
Through the trailer.
Yeah, yeah. So what amp hours you use? 100 probably? Yeah. Got one? Two. And so we'll talk about that in a second. So they're volts, amp hours, and the type. So here's the different types of batteries. There's others, but these pretty much like lead acid that everybody knows about, been around forever. Sealed lead acid, maintenance free they call them. AGM, absorbent glass mat, which are nice. You could turn them upside down and do everything, and they're just more hardy, but they're still a deep cycle battery. Gel cell, which you see a lot in the UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies, and then LiFo, lithium iron phosphate. This is the new. So your phone has a lithium battery in it, but it's a different lithium. It's lithium, but it's not this. I mean, you could take your phone and break it in half, and it'll go nuclear. The lithium acid. These are much safer. LiPo 4 is what they are, but they're expensive. A 48 volt one of these for 100 amps is about $1,200. But you can take them down lower. These batteries can only go down to 60% of their rated power before they start getting damaged. These can go. Temperature plays a factor in these. These don't like to be cold, charged in the cold. Lots of them come with their own built-in heater. They have battery management systems in it to allow them to. The LiPo 4 can talk to my charger. I have a 48 volt charger. It can talk to my charger and know things. So anyway, you got to think about that. Use the correct charger. Series parallel and series parallel, series/parallel connection. Never combine dissimilar batteries. So why do you use series?
It increases the voltage.
Increases the voltage. I'll show a picture of them here, right there. So series, so you got 412 volts. How many volts is that going to be? 48 volts. You got parallel 412 volts. 412 volts, 100 amps. What's that going to be?
48 volts at 100 amps.
Oh, you got 12 volts here at 100 amps each.
You're at 12 volts at 400 amps.
Exactly. So this one increases the amperage but keeps the voltage. This one increases the voltage but keeps the amperage. And these are way most of mine are tied together. Yours are tied together in parallel. So just when things were simple, let's get complicated. Series parallel. So we've taken 12, 12, 12, 12. Each one's 24 amp hours. With series parallel, we now have 24 volts and 40 amps. We doubled the amperage and the voltage. Be careful when you do this stuff, though. DC voltage is really dangerous, especially 48 volts is like the threshold of safety, whatever that is. Anything over 48 volts, it can fry you. Okay. Thank you. Oh, you know what? Thank you for participating. We got questions?
I have a HVAC question.
Go ahead.
I think it's a question a lot of people ask. I've got my portable generator.
Yeah.
I run an extension.
Oh, here we go. I know what you're going with.
And my gas furnace won't work. My forced air gas furnace won't work.
I knew
And other
it was
people
gone.
say,
I knew it was
mine
gone.
works just fine. And then if you look on the internet, they say, well, modern HVAC gas appliances must see a bonded neutral.
Yep.
And almost all the little portable generator inverters
Yeah, that's right.
are floating neutral. So
This is-
why not take a plug and a little jumper?
So they sell them on Amazon.
So that seems to be the big question when people who don't understand
Yeah.
generators. Why doesn't
I didn't want to get that. I didn't want to get that deep because that's. But they sell those on the internet on Amazon. Just plug it in and it just grounds. It bonds the neutral to the ground, and it plugs into one of the sockets, and the generator sees it as bonded, and the HVAC sees it as
My
bonded.
grandson got a new train. I had an older carrier. The older carrier worked.
Oh yeah, well those
It
things were.
didn't have any circuit boards in it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
The new ones have so much.
I have a power conditioner on mine, so it's never been a problem.
I just had a comment, make sure you put a fuse on it, because I had it short one time, I burned coax cable, all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, you gotta fuse everything. Yeah, this wasn't a building class. This was there's a whole other world about building. What's up?
Comment, if you're running generators, don't wait till the storm to start them.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Especially if you run them on gasoline, right? Yeah. I do my stuff gets started every month. If you have a whole house generator, it's on a timer to start my stuff. I run my stuff every month. Just because I'm OCD, but yeah. But you've got to maintain equipment. I don't care what it is. You got to maintain equipment, and because as soon as you need it, it ain't gonna be there.
It's not just running the generator through, you gotta put a load on it.
That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. Great point, great point, great point. Yes, thank you. Anything else? So we put a QR code for a survey, but also, so I have a incident management team staffing business that we give certificates. We can give certificates out for stuff. So we will, if you fill this out, if you do the QR code and it's like 3 questions, put your name down at the bottom, and it'll show you where, put your name and email address. If you want a certificate, I can send you a certificate for this class. I'm a trained, Jelly and I are both trained Homeland Security Communications Unit instructors, and we help build the classes.
One last question. What is the proper procedure for shutting down a generator?
Great question.
Because I see that a lot.
Shutting the power, whatever you're powering, off. And I mean, go in and shut off whatever you're powering. And then shutting the generator down, because shutting the power off, and you could do it at the circuit breaker on the generator too, because that's just like flipping a switch. If you pull it and shut it down, what's it going to do? It's going to wind down. That's the way I do it. You probably, I know you can get 10 people say this and 10 people to say the other way. That's the only way it makes sense to me, like flipping a switch instead of doing a dimmer. Is that what you heard? Is that what you thought?
So something you might want to talk about, especially in Shelby County. Anybody here from LGW?
Why, you fixing to say something bad?
Yeah. If you live in Shelby County, because LGW power fluctuates so bad, and it's in the code now, that you may want to use a whole house search.
Oh yeah. If you're going to get any work done on a box, you're getting a whole house surge approacher, which I totally agree with.
Your refrigerator's computer, your AC, your heat and AC's computer, your TV's computer, your computer's computer, and they don't like all those surges and drops and brownouts.
All right, anybody want to?